Well, it didn't surprise me, I've got to say. I think when you've lost two very important games with the local derby against Swansea and obviously the Bristol City game too. But I was there a couple of weeks ago. We took our 23s team at Crystal Palace down there to play Cardiff, and he watched. So I had a little chat with him before the game started, and I've got to say, in terms of all my conversations with Neil, it didn't, for me, it didn't quite seem right. It didn't quite seem as engaged as perhaps he has been in the past.
Is that what stuck out to you more than anything?
Yeah,
else?
I think so. And he made a point of saying how important these next run of games were. But he's played in so many, he's managed in so many important games.
Yeah.
That it was just his mannerisms around that conversation that shocked me, because I thought he would have been quite looking forward to the games coming up. If you're a player and you're here, perhaps you're under the last year of your contract or perhaps two, and you hear the manager say, regardless of what happens this year, I'm going. What motivation must that give a player, especially one that's not being picked? One that's not being picked and one that's not in favour at that moment in time will probably be thinking, well, I want this manager to quite hurry up and leave this football club so I can get my career going. Now, I'm not saying, there wasn't different kind of reasons behind why Neil said that. And he knows the job inside out, of course. He wouldn't have lasted the test of time.
Quite.
But I just put myself in that position as a player. I'm thinking, I can't wait for you to go, really. He'll always be courted because of his, his reputation in the Championship. If you look down at the bottom half of the Championship, they will be looking at Neil Warnock being available, thinking, hang on a minute, there's a guy here who can get people away from the drop and can get people into the Premier League. However, it's getting to an age now where I think Neil will be looking at a different challenge within football. I don't think this will be the end of Neil as a manager. I don't think it'll be the end of him in football.
He's fed
but
up
I think as a manager,
with his hood up on the touchline, isn't he? And who wouldn't be fed up? Yeah.
At what point, Mark, do you think what challenge is going to be awaiting me next? I wouldn't be surprised if I see him as in a director of football role.
Leading up a consortium, an advisor, helping off the field.
Helping a younger manager perhaps and giving him the experience that he's had over 40 years. The stand itself has probably escalated the decision, and I say that in terms of, you think about the Bury situation, think about how many times them players entered the arena to go and play, and some would say rightly so, and there would be a counter argument to say, well, the players have got to make a stronger stand and say, no, we're not going to be performing for the badge for the club because they're not getting paid. So that's why it's escalated to this degree. Take ourselves back into the week, and there was a leasing game that was... No, sorry, it was an FA Cup game, wasn't it? That was played.
Well, they were made up of
by the 18s and
youth players and loanees when they lost to a non-league side in the FA Cup.
Absolutely,
which in its own way is awkward for those kids
massively.
As far as, because that's a moral dilemma. What do you do?
Well, the players weren't even insured, I think, to play that game against Kingstonian. I think, and again, we'll get the latest later on. About 7:15 tonight. I think the premiums have been paid, but I'm not quite sure on that. I'm not sure of all the details.
But then on that level as well, the joys of getting through a round one is about £40,000. So if players want to be paid, there would have been a fund of money available for potentially that happening. So again, there'll be a counter argument to both sides, and I know it because back in the day when Leeds United fell into administration, I was there, and I was the player that was liaising with the football club and with the PFA. We collectively made a stand in a pre-season situation.
And were you getting stick from the fans?
Well, it didn't come to light at that point because, listen, back then social media wasn't as prevalent as it is in the modern day, and we did keep it away from the press to a degree. But we did say to Ken Bates, the chairman, and we did say to Dennis Wise, we aren't playing this pre-season game until we get paid.